There comes a time in every soul's journey when we must decide, do I continue to explain myself to people who don't understand my worth, or do I silently rise into the light of who I truly am? My darling, it is not your job to justify your healing, your boundaries, or your becoming. When you go ghost, you are not abandoning anyone. You are returning to yourself. You are choosing silence over noise, peace over chaos, and growth over guilt. That is sacred. We spend so much of our precious energy trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to prove that we are good enough. But the truth is, you don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. You were not born to beg for understanding. You were born to thrive in your truth, to speak your affirmations into the mirror with bold love, and to walk away from anything that doesn't honor your light. Let people misunderstand you. Let them talk. That's not your path anymore. Going ghost is not about revenge, it's about realignment. It is an act of deep spiritual self-care. When you stop explaining yourself, you open the doorway to healing. You give yourself room to breathe, to rest, to reconnect with your inner child. That little child inside you doesn't need more arguments or apologies. She needs protection, boundaries, and unconditional love. And who better to give her that than you? There is a quiet power in realizing that you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. For far too long, we've been conditioned to seek approval for who we are, to ask permission before we evolve, and to justify the steps we take toward healing. But your journey is not a courtroom, and you are not on trial. You are a soul in motion, constantly becoming, expanding, and rediscovering yourself. You do not owe anyone a report card on your emotional progress. You don't need to list out reasons for why you said no, why you walked away, why you chose peace over people. Your truth is valid simply because it is yours. And that is enough. When we constantly feel the urge to explain, we unconsciously hand over our power. We begin to shape our decisions around others, understanding instead of our own knowing. This creates a life built on outside opinions, not inner alignment. And when we do that, we lose pieces of ourselves trying to make everyone else comfortable with who we are. You are not here to shrink your spirit to fit into someone else's limited view of you. You are here to rise, to break patterns, and to choose yourself, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Explaining your growth to those who are not growing is like watering dead plants. Nothing will bloom from it. There is deep self-love in setting a boundary and not feeling the need to decorate it with apologies. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges back to yourself. And healing doesn't require explanation. It requires space. Sacred, quiet, nourishing space. The kind where you stop asking others for permission to heal, and instead you gently hold your own heart through the process. When you remove the need to be understood, you begin to understand yourself more fully. You give your inner child the message that she is safe to evolve without guilt, that she does not need to explain her worth to be loved. The truth is, the people who genuinely love you won't require an explanation. They will feel your heart, not question your direction. And those who demand constant justification were never listening to you anyway. They were only listening to their own need for control. Releasing the need to explain is one of the most powerful ways to reclaim your time, your voice, and your energy. That silence you choose when you don't respond to criticism or questions is not emptiness. It is power. It is presence. It is proof that you trust yourself more than you trust their approval. There is a sacred rebellion in quietly living your truth, in walking away without making a scene, in healing without announcing every step, in knowing deep in your soul that you are allowed to grow without writing an essay about it. Sometimes, the most revolutionary thing you can do is to simply be. Be at peace, be quiet, be unavailable to energy that asks you to prove your worth. Let your life be the response. Let your glow be the only explanation you offer. When you rise in silence, the world listens in ways words could never achieve. So choose to stop explaining yourself, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. You are no longer here to play small or make yourself digestible to those who were never meant to understand your fullness. You are here to walk with grace, love yourself deeply, and honor the soul journey that is uniquely yours. Your healing is valid, your boundaries are holy, and your growth is not up for debate. You are not required to explain who you are becoming. You are simply required to become her. There is a deep, unshakable wisdom in choosing silence over reaction. So often we are taught that silence means weakness, that not responding means surrender, but the truth is far more sacred. Silence, when chosen consciously, becomes a declaration of self-worth. It says, I no longer need to exhaust my energy proving my value to people who are committed to misunderstanding me. When you go ghost, not to disappear from the world, but to return to yourself, you are honoring the parts of you that have been overlooked, overstretched, and overexplained. You are saying yes to your peace and no to the chaos that no longer deserves a seat at your table. Going ghost is not about abandoning people. It's about refusing to abandon yourself. You are no longer explaining why you need rest, why you're healing, or why you can't be available for every emotional emergency. You've realized that giving everyone access to you at all times is not love. It's self-betrayal. When you pull back, you are not punishing the world. You are simply protecting your spirit. This silence is not coldness, it's clarity. It's the sacred pause that allows your nervous system to breathe and your intuition to be heard. You are not obligated to burn yourself out just to keep others warm. There is strength in the quiet. In a world that is loud with opinions, judgments, and expectations, silence becomes a radical act of self-respect. You are no longer letting every comment pull you into conflict, every misunderstanding pull you into over-explaining, every invitation into drama feel like a duty. Instead, you're choosing discernment. You're choosing to listen to your body when it says, "Enough." Silence allows your energy to recalibrate. It calls your soul back into alignment. You are not shutting people out. You are shutting out the noise so you can finally hear yourself clearly. Silence also teaches others how to treat you. When you stop showing up every time someone calls, when you stop engaging with disrespect, when you stop defending your truth to those who aren't listening, something powerful happens. People start to understand your boundaries without you having to spell them out. And if they don't understand, that's okay too, because your peace no longer depends on their approval. Silence shows the world that you trust yourself deeply enough not to beg for validation. You're no longer explaining, you're embodying. You're no longer reacting, you're resting. And in that rest, you begin to rise. Your energy returns, your creativity awakens. Your joy becomes louder than your wounds. Going ghost isn't about disappearing from life. It's about reappearing in your own. In this quiet space, you become the safe place you've been searching for. You realize that some connections are only sustained by your constant effort. And when you stop explaining, those connections fade, revealing what was never real to begin with. What remains is authenticity. What remains is truth. What remains is you. So if you feel the pull to go quiet, to step back, to protect your space, honor that. It's not rebellion, it's remembrance. You are not being cold, distant, or dramatic. You are being wise. You are being loving. You are being loyal to yourself in ways you never have before. And that kind of silence is not empty. It is full of healing. It is full of grace. It is full of the kind of strength that needs no explanation. There comes a moment in every healing journey when you must surrender the exhausting desire to be understood by everyone. It is a weight that keeps your spirit anchored to the opinions of others, a burden that asks your soul to stay small just to be palatable. But you weren't born to fit into boxes built by someone else's comfort zone. You weren't born to spend your precious energy editing yourself for approval. Let people misunderstand you. Let them sit with their assumptions. Their inability to see you clearly is not your failure. It's simply a mirror of their own limitations. You are not responsible for managing how others interpret your life. It is tempting to over-explain, to overshare, to try and paint a clearer picture of your heart for people who were never truly looking. But your light is not here to be dissected. It's here to be lived. Every time you defend your choices to those who refuse to listen, you drain a piece of your spirit. Every time you over-explain your peace, you disturb it. The truth is, some people will never be ready for your evolution, not because there's something wrong with you, but because they are afraid of what your growth reveals about their own stagnation. And that's not your responsibility to fix. When you let go of needing to be understood, something beautiful happens. You begin to understand yourself more deeply. You stop filtering your voice. You stop asking for permission. You stop needing an audience to validate your becoming. You learn that peace doesn't come from convincing others to accept you. It comes from accepting yourself without conditions. And the more you honor your truth, the more your light begins to attract those who see you without needing to be told who you are. Misunderstanding no longer threatens your worth because your self-worth is no longer outsourced to external voices. People will misunderstand your silence, your healing, your boundaries, your joy, and even your pain. Let them. You no longer have to carry the burden of being everyone's version of right. That is a role that leads to burnout and resentment. Instead, allow yourself to be misunderstood if it means being authentic. Your life is not a presentation. It is not a debate. It is not a campaign. You are allowed to outgrow people without explanation. You are allowed to change your mind, your path, your energy, without an audience vote. You are allowed to become new without carrying old expectations. There is freedom in the release. When you stop chasing understanding, you reclaim your time, your space, your voice. You become lighter, clearer, more rooted in your own essence. You are no longer swinging between approval and anxiety. You are no longer performing wellness. You are living it. And in that space, you realize how much more joy, creativity, and alignment are waiting for you when you're no longer trying to narrate your worth. You are not here to be a lesson in someone else's growth story. You are here to live a life that feels sacred and true to you. So if the world misunderstands you, let it. If people walk away because you chose your truth, bless them and keep walking. You don't need to drag your heart through the mud of explanation just to be seen. The right people, the right peace, the right path will find you when you stop performing and start embodying. And in the quiet of being misunderstood, you may just hear your truest self whisper. Finally, you're listening to me. Your energy is your currency, more valuable than time, more precious than gold, more powerful than anything you can physically hold. Yet, we give it away so easily. We spend it explaining our hearts to people who have no intention of truly listening. We pour it into conversations that drain us. And we stretch it thin, trying to be everything to everyone. But you are not a never-ending supply of availability. You were not created to be constantly accessible or endlessly understanding. Your energy is sacred, and it deserves to be guarded with love, with boundaries, and with unwavering intention. So many of us feel the need to explain, defend, or validate our every move. We worry that being misunderstood will cost us connection. But the truth is, any connection that depends on you constantly explaining yourself isn't a connection. It's a performance. and performances are exhausting. When someone is committed to misunderstanding you, it doesn't matter how gentle your words are or how long your explanation runs. They've already decided who you are in their mind. Stop handing out your energy like free samples to people who only want to consume, not understand. Save that light for the spaces that reflect it back. You must start treating your energy like it has worth. Would you let just anyone touch your most prized possession? No. Then don't let just anyone into your emotional, mental, or spiritual space. Not everyone deserves access to the depths of you. You do not owe everyone an explanation, a reply, or a response. Sometimes, the most powerful act of self-love is to step back, stay quiet, and protect your inner peace. Because once your energy is drained by trying to make someone else comfortable, who will refill you? You must become your own sanctuary. People often confuse love with access. They think if they love you, or claim to, they are entitled to your time, your energy, your story. But love without respect is not love, and respect begins where boundaries are honored. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you're pushing people away. It means you're drawing a circle around yourself that says, only love, only honesty, only peace may enter here. That is not selfish, that is sacred. That is how you ensure that the energy you pour out into the world flows from a place of fullness, not fatigue. You have to remember that your energy creates your reality. If your energy is scattered in too many directions, trying to fix, explain, impress, and please, your life begins to reflect that same chaos. But when your energy is centered, clear, and grounded in self-respect, you begin to manifest peace, clarity, and abundance. You are not here to explain your boundaries to people who mock them. You are not here to exhaust yourself for people who treat your presence like a convenience. You are here to honor the divine within you, and that starts with protecting what fuels it, your energy. So stop letting people access you on demand. Stop explaining your no. Stop apologizing for your healing. Start treating your energy like the treasure it is. Because when you do, your entire life begins to shift. You attract higher frequencies, deeper connections, and opportunities that honor who you really are. Not the version of you others expect, but the whole, powerful, radiant soul you came here to be. Let your energy be your compass. Let it guide who stays, who goes, and where you grow. There is a sacred silence that only solitude can offer, a kind of stillness that cradles the soul and allows you to finally hear your own voice again. In a world that constantly pulls at you, notifications, demands, expectations, it is radical to pull away, but healing does not bloom in noise. Healing requires space, softness, and uninterrupted presence. When you give yourself that, when you allow yourself to disconnect from the outside world, you begin to reconnect with the most important parts of yourself, the quiet fears, the unspoken desires, and the wounded inner child who has long been asking for your attention. Solitude is not loneliness. It is intimacy with yourself. It is creating a safe environment where no one is asking you to perform, explain, or produce. You simply get to be. And in that being, you begin to feel the weight you've been carrying for years. The expectations you placed on yourself to be strong all the time, the way you silenced your own needs to keep the peace. In solitude, nothing is demanded of you except honesty. You realize how tired your soul has been from constantly showing up for others, and how deeply it craves for you to show up for yourself. That craving isn't selfish, it's sacred. In the absence of noise, your intuition gets louder. That soft voice you've ignored for so long begins to guide you back to yourself. You begin to feel what's real and what was just a coping mechanism. You see your patterns with new clarity, and you realize that healing was never about fixing yourself. It was about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. In these moments of solitude, You don't need anyone to tell you what's next. Your inner wisdom rises. It leads you gently, lovingly, and truthfully toward what your soul has been calling for all along. This solitude is also where your inner child comes out of hiding. That innocent, joyful, pure part of you that once believed in magic before the world taught you fear. She doesn't need more productivity. She needs presence. She needs you to sit with her, listen to her, and hold her hand through all the things she never got to feel safe enough to express. Healing requires this reunion, not in loud affirmations or forced positivity, but in soft whispers that say, "I'm here now. I won't abandon you again." And slowly, that child within you begins to trust again. That trust is the root of all true healing. Solitude also brings you back into alignment with your higher self, the version of you that sees beyond fear and lack, the version of you that knows your purpose and your power. When you're constantly surrounded by opinions, you forget your own truth. But in solitude, you begin to remember. You feel the pull toward your calling, your creativity, your passions. You begin to dream again, not from a place of desperation, but from a place of deep alignment. And as you reconnect with your higher self, you realize that the answers you were seeking out there were always waiting inside you. Give yourself permission to disconnect, not because the world is too much, but because you are ready to return to what truly matters. You. Healing requires solitude not as a punishment, but as a path that leads you through the tangled roots of your past and into the open field of your future. And as you walk it, quiet, steady, and present, you realize that the most powerful transformation doesn't happen in front of an audience. It happens in the quiet, in the stillness, in the sacred, uninterrupted solitude of self-discovery. There comes a time when you must gently put down the armor of performance and step into the softness of becoming. For so long, you've been caught in the loop of trying to prove your worth. Through achievements, through perfection, through exhausting levels of pleasing others who never truly saw you. But you were never meant to be a performer in your own life. You were meant to be a creator, a vessel of truth, growth, and light. When you release the need to prove, you reclaim the space to bloom. You stop bending to fit molds that were never designed for your spirit. You start building a life that reflects your inner knowing, not external validation. Focusing on becoming means tuning into your inner rhythm instead of chasing approval from the outside world. It's no longer about how others perceive your progress. It's about how aligned you feel in your soul. You begin to choose joy over image, peace over recognition, alignment over applause. The masks start to fall off. You realize that the most powerful version of you is not the one who impresses the most people, but the one who feels most free. There is a soft rebellion in this choice, a sacred shift from proving you're enough to knowing that you already are. When you stop performing, you start healing. You begin to notice how much of your identity was shaped by the desire to be accepted, and how much of your pain came from denying your truth to meet someone else's expectations. But healing invites you to let go of the roles you've played and return to the essence of who you were before the world told you who to be. In this space of becoming, you learn to walk slowly, intentionally, and with grace. There's no race, no pressure, no need to explain. Just growth that comes from the inside out. A blooming that doesn't ask for applause. Only light and patience. This journey asks for courage. It asks you to stop comparing your path to others and to trust that your timing is divine. Your blooming won't look like anyone else's, and that's the beauty of it. You weren't meant to be a copy. You were meant to be a catalyst. When you release the urge to prove, you give yourself permission to evolve at your own pace. You begin to embrace the quiet victories, the boundaries set, the tears released, the moments you chose yourself. These are the milestones that matter, not the ones broadcast for approval, but the ones felt deeply in your soul. Becoming is about expansion, not perfection. It's about falling in love with the process of discovering who you are beneath the conditioning. It's about learning to honor your needs, your dreams, your inner whispers. There's nothing to prove when you know you're on the path meant for you. You stop seeking applause and start listening for alignment. And as you live more from this place of truth, you begin to attract what's truly for you. People, opportunities, peace. Not because you chased them, but because you became the version of yourself that naturally draws them in. So give yourself the grace to grow without explanation. Stop measuring your worth by what others understand or approve of. Your purpose is not to impress, it is to expand. Your task is not to prove your light, it is to shine it. Let go of the urge to perform and step boldly into the sacred work of becoming. The world does not need a perfect version of you. It needs the real, grounded, evolving soul you already are. And as you commit to your own blooming, the right people, the right energy, and the right life will rise to meet you. Not because you chased them, but because you finally became who you were always meant to be. When you stop proving and start becoming, everything changes. You no longer chase validation, you embody it. You no longer mold yourself to fit expectations. You rise into your truth. Your energy begins to shift, and with it, your life. This is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of living from wholeness. Becoming is not a destination, it's a way of being. As you root into your authenticity, you begin to realize that your greatest power has always been in your presence, not your performance. Trust your path. Honor your pace. Keep growing. Keep blooming. The world may not always understand you, but your soul will finally feel at home. And that is more than enough.